So you're on a minimum income, you have no cash, you have no credit. Can you start real estate investing? My friend, now is probably the time that you should be starting to real estate invest, because the market is probably bottomed out or bottoming out fairly soon, and interest rates are the lowest they've been in history. I think you've got your best, not quite the lowest they've been in history, but certainly at the near-term lows. And this is in 2008 as I'm recording this. I can't think of a better time to be thinking about getting into real estate, certainly if you have a long-term view. But you have no income, no cash, and no credit. And my question is, why should that stop you? Many people have made fortunes in real estate with no money. Almost everybody who started in business who started a serious business started with no money. Warren Buffett is now the world's richest man, or world's second richest man. He did it with no money because he did it by getting investors. And in real estate, in fact, you always need an investor. And you can't buy real estate. Very few people can buy real estate on their own. And even if they could buy real estate on their own, they'd be stupid to. So the very people who can afford to pay cash for real estate very rarely do, because they understand the power of leverage, which is a subject for another video. But the point is that you can't buy real estate in the real world without an investor. So where do you go to find an investor? Well, the number one place you go is to the bank. So the minute that you put up $10,000 of your own hard-earned money, or let's say $100,000 of your own hard-earned money to buy a $500,000 piece of real estate, you're really going to the bank first and saying, will you invest in this piece of real estate with me? Now, why would a bank give you the money? Well, we'll come back to that in a second. The second place that you can go, let's say a bank won't lend you the money, or you don't have the deposit because you have minimum income, no cash, and fairly bad credit. So let's just deal with the fact that you have no cash right now. So if you have no cash, but let's say your income is okay enough to get a loan, and your credit is okay so you can get a loan, but you have no cash. So now you need two investors, because you need the bank to give you 80% of the value of the real estate plus closing costs, and you need somebody else to give you the deposit. Well, where do you go for that? Well, the first place you go is our investor number 2, which is the seller. So most no money down techniques work on the basis of basically going to the seller of the property and asking them to carry back part of the loan. So you can go to the seller and say, look, I'll buy your property from you, but you have to carry 20% of the loan. Then you may be able to go to the bank, and now in the marketplace, very difficult time to do that. But you may be able to find the bank that will lend you the 80%, even if you actually don't put the 20% in as cash, but have the seller retain that 20%, and you can pay them out when whatever deal you work out in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years for the life of the loan. Depends how desperate the seller is to sell. And a book that will tell you all about how to find these no money down techniques is a fairly old book by today's standards. It was written in the 90s when the real estate market was as bad as it is in 2008. And this book is Formulas for Wealth, and go on Amazon, it's by Powelson and Lowry, two of the most respected people in the name. Powelson, who wrote it, was the head of the Realtor Association, so the National Association of Realtors, the number one accredited realtor. So this is not a guy, some flunky. He is the master of doing no money down deals. So don't let people tell you they can't be done. They just can't be done in a way that most people say they can be done, but they can certainly be done if you can find a seller willing to carry back the loan. Now, the third place you can go to find a partner is what I call a silent investor. It's a money partner. And if you have no cash, no credit, and no money saved and no income, you have no choice but to find a partner. So think of it this way, that you now have 2 or maybe 3 people going to business with you to buy that piece of real estate. Every piece of real estate is like a business. And you have no qualms if you open up a store or a shop of having partners. Why would you have any problem by taking in partners in a real estate transaction? As long as you manage your property, it's a very good thing to do. So you'll have the bank putting up some of the money, maybe you'll have the seller carrying some of the loan, maybe you won't, and you find somebody else who's got money, but they're lazy, fat and happy, and you bring them a deal and offer them half the profits or half the equity if they'll put up the missing cash and underwrite the bank loan. It's very simple. People do it all the time. So why do these people put up money to either buy part or the whole of a deal when they could do it themselves? And the answer is, let's just go back to the bank. Why does the bank put up 80% of the money when they could just do it themselves? Well, for a start, if you're going to buy a home that you're going to live in, obviously they do it because they've got a tenant, a guaranteed tenant. You're the tenant. You're paying 80% of the paying 80% of the value of the loan back to them, and they know you're going to look after it and you're going to pay for it. If you don't, they're going to take the house away from you. They're going to evict you basically and sell the house. So that's why they do it. But why would a bank lend you money for a rental property when they could do it themselves? They could just open up a department that finds rental properties. If they're going to lend you 80%, or in fact during subprime they were lending 100%. Some banks are lending 110%. So what the hell were you doing that they would give you 100 or 110% of the money that they couldn't do for themselves? What you were doing was doing the legwork. You were going out there and finding a deal, putting your intellectual property, using your brain to find the deals that are out there. You were studying a market, becoming expert in one market or one type of property in one location or multiple locations, but certainly you build up some expertise in some narrow area of the market. If you don't go to real estate because you're going to make a mistake. You found the right property to buy in that market, maybe the one that is undervalued, and you're presenting that deal to either the bank or your financial partner. That's something they don't have the capability of doing for themselves. So that's why they put the money up. The second thing that you might do, or will do as well maybe, is put in labour. So not only are you doing the legwork to find the property, but also that property needs to be rehabbed and in order to make it, rentable or to improve the value, which is a great way to buy real estate. Buy something that's been underdeveloped, underlooked after, and then change and improve it. Then you're providing that labour, that work. So that's what you're providing. You're providing your intellectual property and you're providing your sweat and blood, and that's always worth something to somebody. So don't be a lazy skeptic. You don't need money, you don't need income, you don't need credit. You just need the balls to get up and start looking around and doing the hard yards and take it to somebody.